Oh, hi there. Here's a small video of a problem I encountered on a show yesterday where they needed to have mirrored pips, so like two pips on a layer and a multi-view layer, both the same size and kind of mirrored but distributed evenly across the scene. The problem they were having was they didn't know exactly what size or what zoom or what crop exactly they wanted, so we'd ended up with situations like this where we'd have a crop and a cropped image as well. But the problem they were trying to resolve was, well, we wanted it so they were evenly spread. If you put in a 0.5 crop that way, position that way, and a 0.5 position that way, you end up with twice as much gap in the middle, or an extra bit of gap. So it's not the same amount there as it is there as it is there. So you can see on this multi-view layer here, pip 2 on the left is being zoomed in and cropped accordingly, and then position 0.5 to the left. And pip 3 on the right, exactly the same zoom, same crop, and the opposite X to the right. Now, to try and line these up, we're going through different sizes and different crops. I was having to move it in a little bit and go, well, that might be okay there, and then going to pip 2 and then move it back a little bit, and then doing it almost by eye, which is not the best way. So as ever, there's always a spreadsheet way of working. So if we just reset those as well, just so we can see that was wrong. So pip 2 is over there, minus 0.5. And that was the situation we were getting. So it's working out what these numbers were, and the more complicated these zooms, the more complicated these crops are, it's not as easy to work out necessarily straight in your head. So what we came up with was the idea of a spreadsheet that all you do is you can pop in the zoom level and the amount of crop, and that's just the X crop side to side. Most of the sort of corporate stuff I do doesn't require a Y crop, but for this as well, you could add the Y crop afterwards if needed. So here we are, we can see in the spreadsheet here, the only boxes you need to fill in are the green ones here, and then the yellow boxes here, the calculations that are worked out. Down here is all the working for you to have a look at if you want. The spreadsheet is locked, but there's the password there if you want to unlock the sheet and have a little look at the information behind the scenes if you want, and see how we get these numbers achieved. So we can go into this details here. We've got a 1920 by 1080 layer. We're cropping in 400 pixels on the side, and it's a 0.7 zoom. So put in those boxes there, and then this yellow bit gets populated and tells you what the zooms and the positions would be. Obviously the crops stay the same and the zoom stays the same, but these pans, the left pan and the right pan, have now changed. So if we go into the left pan and change that figure from minus 0.5 to minus 0.4694, and then go into the right hand pip and change it from 0.5 to 0.4694, we'll see now that they're evenly spread across. So we've got the two pips there as the crop and the size that we wanted, but distributed nicely across the scene. So a lot better than the 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. So that's how we go about doing that. So if I put that back to 0.5 and put it back to 0.5, we can see it in a slightly different layer. So if I put it to the distributed one there, let's just pop it in as if that was our pips. So there's just the scene with the two test cards in. If we go into layer 2, pop in its zoom, 0.7, the crop from one side was 400, and the crop from the other side therefore was 1520, and the pan on that one was minus, going on to the left, 4694. Then we go on to layer 3, again 0.7 zoom, the crop was 400, 1520, and the X is the opposite of that, so it was 0.4694. And you can see there, by popping those numbers in, we've got a perfectly distributed across the scene left pip and right pip. Now what can happen is, you might want borders on this. Now the way vMix does borders is it adds it to the pip. So if I click on the borders on these two, quite large borders, just to sort of show the point, but if I pop a 60 border on each of these, you'll see there that even though the actual center image is still okay, when we add the borders, this gap here and this gap here and there are now not the same as well. So there, even though the actual image is distributed nicely, with the borders added, it's not. So we've got an option in here to add a border as well. So we can go back into our main spreadsheet again and put size of pip border we've used, and that's the same border across both those pips. So if we pop that in as a 60 pixel border, you'll see that these numbers here have now changed, and we can go back in and adjust these accordingly. So instead of 0.469, it's now 4840, and then on pip 3, it'll be plus 4840. Oops, excuse me. And you can see there now that that bit and that bit and that bit are all distributed evenly. So if I take the borders off, those two, you'll see they're not distributed nicely. because we made an adjustment. So the size there and there is the same, but the middle is too big. But obviously, because there's double the amount of border in the middle, there's the left-hand side of the right pip and the right-hand side of the left pip, we can take into account of that when we add our border on. And then with the two borders on, it's a much better distribution. So this spreadsheet is there. I'll pop a link on the Facebook page as well. It's a free spreadsheet, and I'll put a link to that as well. But as ever, do have a go. Let me know what you think, but always try and practice before putting it into main show, just in case there are any glitches. I've used it on the show yesterday and came up with quite a good few quick ideas to allow for the 2-pip distribution. But yeah, hope that's all good. As I say, any comments or anything, drop me a line. But great, thanks for that.